Reseller's Life. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I am here with Sarah Stiles. I'll have her introduce herself in just a moment. But today, we're going to talk about how to get inventory to come to you or what you are doing to source. Places are starting to open up now. So let us know in the comment section below if you are having difficulty getting inventory or if it's open, and let us know how it went today. I know Las Vegas opened up today. Utah opened up today. Depends on what state you're in. For us, it's in California. I think it's being extended. Certain things are being extended for 3 months. So sort of till the end of July before everything starts to kind of open up. But some things will open. I think thrift shops will be some of the things that open in a couple of weeks, but we're not like that close to opening yet. So, Sarah, where can people find you before we get started today online?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Styles LLC everywhere, all social media and platforms that I sell on. So
Awesome. So today we want to talk about sourcing. What's on your mind when it comes to sourcing right now?
yeah, so I'm a little, I don't know if anxious is the right word, maybe. I had a pretty good routine going where I know my thrift stores, I know it was working. I could go out for, 4 or 5 hours, come home with 75 to 100 items, and things were going well. That's not the environment that we live in right now. And then with doing this mentorship, trying to stay consistent and have 50 items to list every week. I'm a little worried about where that is coming from. I got a haul from my cousin, her boutique closed, and I probably have like 200 items left from that. So it's not like tomorrow I need it, but looking ahead, it's not the same environment that it was a couple months ago. So I'm not really sure where to get inventory. Our thrift stores have opened up, but they're not what they were, months ago.
Okay. So let's talk about maybe, there's a couple of models I wanted to run by you. You can go out and you can buy lots. When you buy lots online, you are sort of at the mercy of the quality of the lot. You can get them really cheap, but the smaller the lot, the more expensive it is because shipping is a larger percentage of it. You're talking about on a really small
Yeah.
lot, shipping could be $1 or $2 an item. You're talking about people comparing with people who buy truckloads, and it's like 1 to 5 cents per item for shipping. So
Yeah.
totally different. So for right now, do you like the concept of, maybe cherry picking item by item? Because some people do it that way. They snipe items. Do you want to try some bulk? How do you look at getting inventory maybe to come to you?
Yeah, I mean, I like to have a certain aesthetic of my closet, and things that I'm familiar with. From a listing perspective, my lister can probably look up and find comps on anything. So not necessarily knowing the value of things, but I do enjoy women's clothing, shoes, and purses. It kind of takes me outside of my zone to go outside of that. I don't know that I necessarily have to cherry pick it, but I also do like to have, 35 plus average sale price items in my closet. So that's something too that makes me a little nervous when you do these blind lots. Like, I don't know.
I
Is it
would
gonna fit
say
into my
if
closet?
in the clothing realm, it's probably impossible to buy lots that online that have $35 ASP unless you're paying $20 a piece. You're not going to get something like that unless it's brand new. I know, like, I used to use Blue Lots in San Francisco. Every single item was brand new. And not like it's all shelf pulls, so it's not damage, it's not returns, and every item minimum was like $20, sometimes $40, sometimes $75 for items that are perfect. But if you're going to go liquidation or returns, it's going to be more like $20 ASP. And that's
Yeah.
just sort of the nature of that type of stuff because it's used clothing takes a huge hit in value. It's like $400 new sometimes and 50 pre-owned
Yeah.
or store returns. Kind of scary, but I can see that. What about one by one hunting?
What do you mean? Like me going out and doing it?
Like maybe you, let's say for example, I don't know a lot about Parker dresses, but I have a friend that she snipes Parker dresses from other people. So she gets a notification every single time those pop up, and she knows them really well. I know people do that with Anthropology and Free People. There are certain pieces that go for a lot of money, and they
Yeah, so
look
like
for those.
online.
Yeah,
So like
but
myself
one by one,
sourcing online. Yeah.
but one at a
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I've done a little bit of that here and there, but it's very, very time consuming. Because you're finding I've done it a little bit with purses because I know purses pretty well.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of times people who are clearing out the closet are like, just take it. I don't care. I'm not trying. And so I've done a couple of that with flipping purses, but it takes me, the last thing I did, I got like 3 purses and it took me an hour to find them.
So
Like,
I
so finding 50 items a week at that rate, like, I think I might have to lower my standard of my closet for the time being.
I would say finding those people that you could, if you're going to go the one by one route, just another thought. I find because I do a lot of Poshmark and eBay arbitrage back on the eBay and Poshmark. And I find that sellers on Poshmark are very desperate. So my friend Nick actually built a bot that automatically lowballs certain brands. Okay, like he'll offer $10 for a Patagonia Better sweater. And that could easily sell for 50 to 75 if the person is patient. But people are
Yeah.
so desperate. He's getting a $10 accepted rate like all the time. People are thinking, oh, it's going to trigger my closet. I'll just accept this lowball deal and the rest of my sales will come. But a lot of these low balls are auto generated. He's just getting them and then he's reselling it for 50, 60, 70 bucks on eBay and Poshmark. And it's awesome. So I want to figure out
Yeah,
how to
well,
do that.
if he has a bot,
No, but I'm
but I
saying
don't have a bot to do it because I think
who
you
would
can
have
do
thought to do
it.
that? Who would have thought to do that
Yeah,
for on the buying side?
right.
It's definitely frowned upon for sharing.
No, I mean, I think it's awesome for sure. It's just spending the time to find it. On Poshmark, I think you definitely get that because there's people who are clearing out their closet and they don't necessarily know like you have to share your closet and you have to, and so any offer, they're like, whatever. So
They just take it. Yep.
the ones that I've offered, I've had a good deal, but finding them is what takes a while. It took me an hour to find this lot of 3 Coach purses that they would have taken a low offer on.
One more thought for you, just because this is a bit of a brainstorming session. So if you guys have
Yeah, yeah,
answers in the chat, throw them in. I have a friend that only flips Gucci. Okay, so his minimum profit is $100 an item, or he doesn't. It's not worth his time. So he works a full time job. During work, his goal is to purchase 5 Gucci items that are $100 profit or more. So this is like going to be in the realm where you're usually spending between 100 and 2 grand per item because it can be expensive. But certain
yeah,
items, paying 2 grand for an item that sells for 2,500 sounds expensive, but it's really not if you think about the amount of work he's doing to make $400 after fees. So
yeah,
one
right,
other way to do it, and this is what my wife would do if she resold, she'd play in the $100 profit per item, which it's if you decide to play that game, there's only like 100 brands you can sell.
right.
There's not
And then
that
you have
many
to be really
brands.
knowledgeable. And I
Right.
think that's before all of this, that's kind of where I was headed. My average sale price was steadily going up. I was getting more knowledgeable and better in those higher end brands. But with everything that's happening, finding that inventory, and then also I'm noticing in my closet, a lot of what's selling is the lower price items. And so if I want to make that monthly profit that, I'm aiming for, I don't know if right now is the time to get into the higher average sale price game. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't feel like the higher average sale price stuff in my closet is what's selling.
Yeah. So one more thought for you as far as
Hmm.
online goes, and I'm sort of setting this up right now. There's a store called Linda's Closet. I don't know if you're aware of this
No.
store, but it's cool to look at them. They take inbound consignment. So they pay 50%, 50-50 split for most things, and they go all the way up to 80% for the buyer. That means if sold for 1,000, they would give the consignor 800 and they would take whatever's left after fees. They're at 3,000 listings per week. It's a pretty big store. But there are a lot of examples of smaller stores, but usually it doesn't work unless you're at 500, 100 to 500 listings a week because consignment takes a little bit more work. Now, it doesn't take any money. So you don't have to
Right.
use any of your own money. So what you would do is instead of spending 1,200 to 1,500 on inventory, you would just spend it on systems, making sure that you have a system and help to get people checks out once a month. In my opinion, this is the most scalable way of reselling because um, it doesn't require any capital. It just
Right.
requires doing a good job. And you are one of very few people I would recommend consignment for, because you can actually take good photos. You're good at merchandising. If you're not really good at that, then people won't consign their items with you
Yeah.
because they
Well,
want that
and
top
that's
dollar.
I was actually talking to a local eBay friend here, about I was trying to find pickers because that's the other thing that I'm struggling with is
We'll
trying to
talk
find
about that.
people
Hmm.
to shop for me. So I was because he has pickers, but he, has been doing this for a while pre-COVID with his pickers, and now I'm having a hard time finding the people that I've reached out to locally are like, yeah, that sounds like a good deal, but I'm not going thrifting right now. Like I'm waiting for things to calm down before I go thrifting. So we were just talking back and forth, and he said, he thought about if they started running low on inventory about doing consignment, and doing that whole thing. So that is kind of on my radar. It's my least favorite because of like the bookkeeping and and now I'm managing all of these different things and paying them out and keeping track of their inventory and what sells. But like you said, if there's systems to put in place, to manage that, because then I'm not sourcing either, right? If I have the inventory coming to me, that's 4 or 5 hours a week that I can just be taking pictures and doing
Yep.
other things.
I have, if you decide to do consignment, what happens is if you do a good job, people will continue to consign items with you,
Yeah,
and you'll have a death pile of however many you accept. So the sourcing part of reselling would be done if you decide to do consignment. So the people who like sourcing obviously don't want to do consignment because it's the opposite of that. It's just processing, right? So it's a
yeah,
guaranteed
right.
way to if your goal is money oriented, consignment, in my opinion, is one of the best because you don't have to spend any money. But the thrill of the hunt, very different. You can find stuff. Obviously, also, um, consignment margins are about 20% after everything is said and done. So you do have to do maybe twice as much volume as you would if you were normally doing, flipping stuff from the thrift. Are you? I think you guys are open now as far as thrifting. So
We
are
are.
you going? And then let's talk about hiring a picker.
Yeah. So we opened 2 weeks ago the Arc, which is like a local, they have 30 stores, but they're local to Colorado. They opened about 2 weeks ago, and then Goodwill's opened last week. I went to two stores, thrift stores, and it was terrible. I was talking to the employees, and these stores, I usually like walk out with like easily 50 items in my average sale price, easily. And so I went in and was talking to some of the employees and stuff, and the way that they are following the COVID rules and staying, anything that gets donated, they are holding for 3 to 4 weeks. So basically, when I went, it was what was out on the floor before it all shut down. So stuff that I had already seen. And then they are only putting inventory out once a day. And so if you don't go right first thing in the morning, they're not, before they were putting it out every hour and you were continuously getting new items. And with as many resellers as there are in Colorado, it just makes it so much more competitive. And then the bins opened. I haven't been to the bins, but it is a line to get in. They only let 35 people in at a time. You have a 2-hour wait limit and you only get one bin, and then they rotate you to the next one. So in talking to people, you're spending more time getting less inventory. And so to me, that doesn't really make sense to spend my time getting less inventory than I would, right?
I
And
mean,
I'm not a huge bin fan I mean, I will go and I love when I find stuff, but it's so time consuming anyway. And now it's like double the time.
so let's talk about hiring a scout. I have scouts.
Yeah.
Scouts are a
Yeah.
great way to get an inventory. You can basically pick what you want to come into your store. So have you thought about doing that? I know there are tons of there's a lot of thrifting where you live, but I think in
Yeah.
order to do well, you'd probably have to source all day, which you don't have time for. So what
Yeah.
kind of parameters would you set up for a scout?
Yeah, I mean, I've reached out to everybody that I know, and I've even gone onto Instagram and Poshmark and started hitting up people that just live in Denver and have reseller accounts. And I have two friends that said that they would do it, but they're not shopping right now. And everyone that I have contacted either says, one, they're not going to thrift stores right now, or two, they don't want to, like, they want to make that money. I don't want to lose out on that $30 or whatever it is, even with the amount that I would give them. That's kind of what I'm running into is people want to like the thrift, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna sell it myself. I don't want to give you the good stuff, or I'm not
Hmm.
thrifting right now.
Is it possible for you to pick people who don't resell?
It is.
What's
I don't know how to find them. I mean, how do you
I see.
find them?
You just put up
I
an
mean,
ad.
yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
think I
I got
had
it.
like 500 people apply. So it's like the best job ever. All you need is a system. So, for example, I just made a short course on how to check solds. I don't want a reseller working for me, period. It's a waste of time. Why would you want
Yeah,
to
no, that's a good
conflict?
point.
Right. So, if you're working with someone who's reselling, they're probably going to keep the good stuff. They're probably going to be unreliable because most resellers they want to have complete control of their schedule. And I want the opposite of that. I want someone that works on a schedule. You go to these 10 stores, then bring what you have here. I'm looking for someone who's looking for a job. And often resellers don't want a job, which is completely fine, but it's the wrong person if you're hiring for a job. So
Yes, right. No, I hadn't thought of that.
I'm looking for busy people who are A-type personalities that ideally have quick serve experience. Like I've worked in a restaurant before. If you've worked in a restaurant before, this is really easy because you're just looking, you basically create a process for yourself. I go to the store, I do this thing, I go home, I make my money. And there's one exception to the reseller that I would hire, and that's the reseller who doesn't sell online. Here at the Goodwill outlets, there are people who only sell to Buffalo Exchange or Plato's Closet or
Mhm.
only flip at the flea market. That person is perfect because they
Eh,
don't have the store.
yeah, and I mean, it's funny that you said that because those are the people that I've had that are interested in doing it. Once they go out shopping again, they're like, "Yeah, I'll just sell it to you instead of selling it to Buffalo Exchange. It's fine by me, and then I'm helping someone out." So I hadn't even thought I was reaching out to all of resellers, and that's a good point. I'll look at putting up an ad. Where are you just doing it like on Facebook or like your neighborhood?
I'm learning how to do Facebook. That's going to be something I really try to learn over the next few weeks. Marketplace and how to post ads. I'm currently doing Craigslist and Nextdoor.
Yeah, okay.
And then I always pay for the ad. Some people do it in the free section, but I don't want a garbage candidate. I'm looking for like the best possible person. And I think a lot of people get stuck with what's the cheapest I could hire. You're not this in this bucket, but some people are like,
Yeah, right.
what's the cheapest person I could possibly get? That's the wrong way to look. I want the most expensive, best person that's worth it. Right.
Right. Yeah, no, I
If I have
agree.
to pay him $2,000 a day, okay, this is mind blowing to me. I want to share this story with you. I found a picker that went to the bins, okay, brought me 100 pairs of shoes. The person went to, I think, 16 stores in one day, and they spent a total of like 12 hours shopping and 2 hours driving. Okay, incredible effort. Then drove all the way to my place, and in the Starbucks parking lot, I looked through the solds on every single item and I cashed him out $1,000 profit in one day. Okay. I've never paid anybody this much money ever. Okay. So I paid him $1,000 plus the cost of the shoes. And he was like, well, he wanted to work out an even more aggressive deal. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy, but maybe it'll be worth it. And it ended up not working. But I was just thinking to myself, it's possible. You could go
Yeah.
crazy if you just even just one day a week you went hard. I just saw Rinzi now on Instagram. They got like 400 pounds or something in one day, and
Wow.
then that's it because they're busy, right? So you may not have time to source every day, but if you get a scout that goes ham all day one day, I think you have a really good opportunity because you don't really know when they refill. You don't know how the course of the day is going to go. Some thrift stores are going to have nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
No, I hadn't thought about I'm writing this down and I'll look into putting an ad out for someone because it's easily trainable, right? I
Mhm.
hadn't like that hadn't even crossed my mind. I was just reaching out to resellers and everyone who says they're a reseller wants to keep it for themselves. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the average reseller does 2 grand a month revenue, not net, just revenue. So all the
Reps.
people that
Yeah.
you meet, um, I want like if someone was doing like 30 grand revenue or 40 grand revenue or a bigger person, what happens is sometimes they have scraps that are worth it. So as an example, guys, I introduced Sarah to um, Lux Swap on Instagram, and he bought 8,000 pounds of clothing, right? And he only found 200 pieces of clothing that were $100 or more over. So in his store, he's the high end store. and that store does several million dollars a year in high end stuff. And he's like, how do I get this stuff to come to me? So same thing as me and you, Sarah, as well. It's never worth your time to thrift ever, unless your time is worth less than $50 an hour. If it's worth less than $50 an hour, thrift to your heart's desire. But if it's
Or if
worth
you
more than
enjoy
that,
it, because I'm
yeah, yeah,
not going to ever completely give it up. I think
I agree.
my perfect model is I have a steady flow that I know I'm going to meet my goals every month.
Hmm.
But then I can go out and not have the pressure. I found good things today. I had time to go, like, and make it more enjoyable, not pressure. Because I do enjoy thrifting.
And I think you should do it for fun. I don't think you should do it to make a living. I think it's ridiculous because it's why take something that you like doing and turn it into a grind if you don't find something. Like for
True.
example, people go fishing and they only catch a fish 1% of the time. You know what I mean? Like it's
Which is why I don't like fishing.
and they still go. And so if you're a thrifter and there was a store I was reviewing that's only thrifted and only $1,000 or higher. Think about how much thrifting you'd have to do to find stuff that's only
Yeah.
1,000. It would basically be only thrifting. Your whole day would be thrifting. He likes even when he goes out and doesn't find anything. That's true passion, in my opinion, because it's for him, the fun is looking. If he
Yeah.
finds it,
Right.
that's great. But anyway, um, in that
I think
lot,
it's like a mix. Yeah, I think it's a mix for me. And you've opened my eyes to getting inventory to come to me. So then there's not as much pressure, like keeping the consistency going. And before I wasn't able to stay as consistent because it was like whatever I found for the week is what went up.
so I want to point out that when you start doing volume versus on your own, this is important, guys. There's a lot of people who want to do this for fun and they want to make a living at it. That's great. I recommend what Sarah is doing, which is 50 items a week of great stuff is enough to pay the bills. It doesn't have to be more than that. In fact, if you start getting over, if you start getting close to 100, I think that's the literal max someone can do with a family.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
I
for
wouldn't
sure.
recommend, unless you have a system, getting to the literal max is not really the point of this. Like you don't want your life to be full every single second. That's not what this channel is about. I recommend if you're going to try to do some volume, this is a little bit scary, but just from my own personal opinion, it gets easier at like 350 a week. Now, that's a big jump, right? 50 to 100 by yourself or 350 a week. I'm just being upfront with you guys in the grind from trying to go from 100 to 350. In between there, you make about the same amount of money as you do just by yourself because it's hard. You have all these new
Yeah.
people to manage, all these new processes. You need more space, there's more bills, and it's just different. But if you can get there, if you're going that route, then it's worth it. So definitely want everyone
Well,
to
and
think about that. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been thinking about this too. I don't know that I want to make a gazillion sales every day, because my
Yeah.
volume is picking up and then I am not enjoying shipping out that many, right? Like I don't, and this is why I've taken I want to make a certain amount of dollar amount, but I want to do half of it reselling because I want to still enjoy it and not be completely overwhelmed with all of that. And then doing the digital products and the YouTube to kind of supplement and get me to that income that I want to get to. Because I
Yeah.
do think if I was doing the 100 items or more a week, it would become too much. 50 is about, and I might be able to step it up a little bit, but 50 is about where I'm like, cool. Like I feel like I did something this week, but I wasn't like stressed out where like I have to get these done. I have to get these done. It's like an okay routine for me and allows me to do other things and break up the monotony of reselling.
Makes sense. Guys, we're going to continue this conversation on Sarah's channel. So I'll put search Sarah Styles LLC in the YouTube algorithm, and you can look it up. We'll continue the conversation over there. Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you guys are looking for Sarah, why don't you go over your channel before you hop over? Why should people go hang out on your channel?
Because I'm awesome. No, I am a reseller. I am a mom of three. So I'm doing this with a family and have lots of good tips there. But then I also have a background in data analytics, which is, I think, why me and Chris vibe so well. I look at data, I look at numbers, I have dashboards that help you do the same, to help you hit your monetary goals, whatever level you are in reselling. So that's my spiel.
Sounds good.
All
So
right, see you in a
I'll
bit.
see you in a bit. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to head over to Sarah's channel in just a moment, but I want to shout out everyone. When you are building a sourcing system, this is an ongoing thing. It never really ends. Okay, you're looking for an inbound way, ideally, for stuff to come to you, or you want relationships with people who are working for you. This is either relationships with scouts to go find stuff with you, or relationships with suppliers who are looking for things. Like, shout out to Rally Roots. I learned a lot about wholesale when I met them. And basically, they have people who are looking for inventory that they know Rally Roots can sell. I have that too. So I have specific stuff that I'm looking to sell that other people are selling to me. And that comes from letting people know what you do, and focusing usually on 1 to 3 niches. You don't want to spend too much time spread out amongst every single category because you will never meet these people. You'll meet people who concentrate in one niche by focusing on one niche. If you decide you want to sell camera parts, then you're going to hang out with camera suppliers and you're going to run into someone that can supply you with something. But if you're looking for camera parts and sometimes you go to a clothing district, that has nothing to do with your electronics deal. And these relationships take a while. They're like a marriage. It's going to take 6 months to a year to really get any traction before somebody trusts you, sometimes even longer. You're going to meet suppliers who've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. They're not just going to go straight into bed with you. They don't know you. So it's going to take a while. They want to see you building up traction. They want to see your store doing well. Right now, I do have a Facebook group. It's called the Reseller Collective. It's free. You guys can join in there. The topic right now is talking about sourcing. So I want you to go in there, join the group. It's free, and post in there your favorite ways of getting sourcing done. And that'll definitely help you out in your journey to finding great inventory. Also, this episode, like all my episodes, are sponsored by my reseller field guide, which is available for purchase for $35 using code YouTube. It also comes with free live mentorship. So you guys can hop in there 7 days a week and talk to us live. I'm in that call every day but Saturday. So you can talk to us, ask live questions, be accountable. But I appreciate you guys' time. Everyone have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys later.